Alright, now that we're all appropriately depressed, we would like to change the tone to something a little more uplifting with our third presenter. Written by Michael Kimmel, a renowned American sociologist whose specialty is pro-feminism, How a Boy Becomes a Man explores the process and stereotypes of developing adolescent masculinity. Taking us through this process tonight will be Patrick Sanders, another V-Man veteran. Pat is currently an English math teacher at the Wilshire Korean English Academy. He's happy to be part of V-Day for the second year in a row, and he hopes he will leave tonight having been entertained and or informed and or inebriated. At least 2 out of the 3 will do what he says. Ladies and gentlemen, Patrick.
As both a researcher and activist about masculinity issues, I'm often asked, where does it start? Where do boys learn all that stuff about masculinity? While all these images surround us, bombard us on a daily basis, it's only through watching the experiences of my son Zachary that I've seen so clearly how one comes to understand that masculinity is a performance, a posture, a pose. I've learned how it's extracted from us and the psychic and physical toll it demands. The following are 3 vignettes from 3 different moments in that process. Age 3. Zachary and I love to play a game we call opposites. You know the game. I say a word, he says the opposite. They're simple and fun, and we have a great time playing it. One evening, my mother was visiting, and we were walking in the neighborhood park playing opposites. Scratchy, smooth, high, low, tall, short, fast, slow. You get the idea. But then my mother asked, Zachary, what's the opposite of boy? My whole body tensed. Here it comes, I thought. Mars and Venus, the opposite sex, the whole gender binary. Zachary looked up at his grandmother and said, man. Age 8. As Zachary's 8th birthday approached, his mother and I asked him what kind of theme he wanted for his party. The previous 2 years, we had a skating party down at the local rink, the same rink where his hockey team skates on Saturday mornings. He rejected that idea. Been there and done that, Dad, was the end of that. Besides, I skate there all the time. Well, other themes that other boys in his class had, such as indoor sports activities, or a secret agent treasure hunt, or a Red Bull soccer game, were also summarily rejected. What could he possibly want? A dancing party, he said. One with a disco ball. His mother and I looked at each other. A dancing party? We asked. But Zachary, you're only 8. Oh no, not a dancing party like that, he said, making air quotation marks. I mean like the Virginia Reel, and the Cotton Eye Joe, and Cha-Cha Slide, and you know, dancing games. So a dancing party it was, for 24 of his classmates. His school encourages inviting everyone to the party, and a perfectly even split of boys and girls. All 12 girls danced their heads off. Ah, this is the best party ever! Shouted Grace. The all the girls squealed with delight. 4 of the boys, including Zachary, danced right along with them. They were having a blast. But then, 4 other boys walked in, checked out the scene, and immediately walked over to a wall, where they folded their arms across their chest and leaned back. I don't dance, said one. Yuck, said another. Now they watched, periodically tried to disrupt the dancing, seemed to make fun of the dancers, and had a lousy time. But 4 other boys began the afternoon by dancing happily, with not a hint of self-consciousness. But then they noticed the leaners. The boys propped up against the wall. And one by one they stopped walked over to the wall, and watched. But they couldn't hold that pose for long. They kept watching the dancers dancing their hilarious line dances, or the freeze dance, and they inched their way back, dancing like fiends, only to stop, notice the passive leaners again, and inch their way back to the wall. Now back and forth they went all afternoon, alternatingly exhilarated and exasperated, joyously dancing and joylessly watching. My heart ached for them as I watched them being pulled back and forth between being children and being guys. Or is it between being people and being guys? People capable of a wide range of pleasures, from slamming an opponent into the glass to that down-on-the-knee fist bump after scoring a goal, to do-si-doing your partner, or that truly inane full lassoing the Cotton Eye Joe. Or guys, for whom pleasure now becomes defined as making fun of other people's joy. Now, poised between childhood and adult masculinity, they were making a choice, and one could see how agonizing a choice it was. They hated being on the sidelines, but they stayed impervious until they could stand it no longer. But when they were back on the dance floor, they became piercingly aware that they were now the objects of ridicule. You know, I thought about this the other day when yet another journalist asked me the same question I'm asked probably about once a week. When another newspaper or magazine discovers that men are confused about what it means to be a man these days. This is the price we pay to be men. The suppression of joy, sensuality, and exuberance. It's meager compensation to feel superior to the other chumps who have the audacity to enjoy themselves. I pray that my dancing fool of a son will resist the pull of that wall. His is the dance of childhood. Age 10. As Zachary and I were walking to school, I asked him the same question I asked young men in workshops in college campuses and high schools. Zachary, what do you think it means to be a man? That's funny, Dad, he said after thinking about it. We were just talking about that on my soccer team. One of my teammates said, "Who cares if you're hurt? You've got to be a man. Be tough enough to play through the pain." So I guess it means being tough. Now, after a few steps, Zachary stopped walking. In one of those moments so familiar to parents, he simply stood there thinking so hard that one can actually see the gears in his head turning away. "Actually, Dad," he finally said, "I don't think it's about being tough. I think it means acting tougher than you really are." Thank you.